You will need to repeat it again. So as mentioned earlier, today's agenda will start by covering the market landscape and then going into the top 2024 traveler trends and insights in Asia. Andrew, take it away. Sorry, everyone. We're just experiencing a few technical difficulties. Please bear with us and we'll start shortly.
Okay, Sam, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Thanks, Andrew.
So Sam, I think you had some background music playing at the start. So do you want to just like start from the top again?
Yes, of course. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining and for listening to the music with us. We'll try to do this without the background music this time. So just as a recap, this session will be delving into the evolving demands and preferences of today's Asian travelers over 2024, as well as forecasting for early 2025, highlighting the importance of digital integration and the need for increased ease and flexibility. In this session with us, you can discover how hyper-localized experiences, which are tailored to specific cultural and regional nuances, can enhance customer retention and satisfaction. As Andrew introduced earlier, my name is Sam, and I'll be your MC for today. However, the main event is Andrew Smith, Senior Vice President of Agoda Supply. He plays a pivotal role in expanding Agoda's market presence and elevating its expansive directory of travel-related products and services. So, very important note is that we really ask participants and joinees to please join our session. You can do this by clicking the Q&A button, which is highlighted in green on your screen. It has a question mark and has Q&A on the bottom. Please provide your questions and any comments you have, and we'll try our best to answer all of them. To follow along the webinar easier, turn on closed captioning and you can see subtitles as we speak in real time. The closed caption button is 2Cs. So today's agenda, we'll start by going over the market landscape and then going into the top 2024 traveler trends and insights on Asia. Andrew, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Sam. So thanks to everybody who dialed in. We've got a very big audience today, so great to connect with each and every one of you. Let's start off with the market landscape. Okay, so this data is coming to us from Euromonitor, and I think, as you can see here, the growth of travel in Asia is growing really significantly. So if we look over toward the right, you can see this really like strong double-digit growth in Asia travel, excluding China. And this is estimated to continue all the way through to 2028 and beyond. And as you can see, it's also one of the biggest travel markets in the world. And we feel like over time, it's really going to eclipse a lot of these other areas of the world in terms of that like rapid growth rate. So what we do now is we zoom in a little bit more into the actual customer origins. So it's important to remember if you're, let's say, a hotelier in one of these countries, this is not the popular countries to go to, but these are the customer groups. So when we think about it, we think of the origin of the customer and where they're going to. So first of all, up at the top here, what you see is for these broad regions, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia, what are our top origins in terms of search data that are going to these regions? And as you can see, the ones featured here, for example, in Europe, we have South Korea, Taiwan, Japan, India, and Singapore, all very, very popular to go to these European destinations. And you can read the rest of them there. But what we do then is we'll zoom in a little bit into the countries within Asia, because what we see is that not only is there a lot of outbound travel that's happening from Asia customers all around the world, but what we do see is that there's a very, very strong increase in what we would call intra-Asia travel. So travel between different Asia markets, because it's such a diverse and such an amazing region of the world that people are realizing that I don't have to like hop on the plane and go visit the Eiffel Tower or the Statue of Liberty. There's so much amazing stuff to do in my own area within let's say, a 2 to 5 hour flight, that I can just actually explore what Asia has to offer. So if you can see here, for example, to South Korea, we have customers from Japan, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, and China, all heavily traveling to the South Korea market. For Thailand, it's more Malaysia, Singapore, Japan, Hong Kong, and Taiwan. So you can see this down there. And if your country isn't featured here and you want more information, then just drop us a note in the chat. I'm sure one of the team will be happy to share some more information about your specific country. So let's go to the next slide. So then what we do is we actually zoom in on these top customer origins. And when you're thinking about this from your own hotel portfolio or perception, you want to sort of see, okay, so if I want to attract customers coming from Korea, or I want to attract customers coming from Thailand, what are some of the characteristics of those customer groups that I can actually consider when I'm really trying to market toward those customers and attract them to come to my property or even my activity? So as an example for South Korea, very inspired by food and by content. And when we say food, we don't mean we would really like to have breakfast in the hotel, but more like we're very interested in all the local eateries nearby to where I'm staying and visiting those sort of like historical landmarks. So we actually know this from our research that for Korean travelers, not only are they seeking out these like food experiences nearby to where they're staying, but actually specifically looking at the dishes in each of these like restaurants or street food to really make sure that they can tick that box, take a photo, post it to social media, and that's a very big thing for them. So as a hotelier, you should really be showcasing what is in the immediate vicinity of your property, because that's really what's going to attract those customers. When we think about then Japan, as you know, the Japan currency, the Japanese yen, has gone through a pretty tough time. And so travelers, they're still traveling, but they're prioritizing value for money. And what that means is that they're actually traveling for less number of trips per year. But when they travel, they tend to stay a little bit longer, because then they can factor in that like airline and flight costs into the overall cost of travel. So really look, not necessarily looking for budget accommodation, but looking for great value. So again, marketing the value that you can bring at your property is really important for Japanese customers. For Thais, heavily influenced by influencers and social media. I think that could apply to most of Asia, but very, very top of mind in Thailand. The platforms of choice, TikTok and Instagram. So again, anything you can do to sort of target some marketing around those platforms, or even just piggyback on content that's already being shared in the city that your hotel is based in, or from people that have actually even visited your hotels. So monitor those and really try to build that connection on top. For Malaysians, family trips. It's a very big thing. A lot of people are traveling with families. I think that also applies a little bit to India customs as well. So also good to know there. And so highlighting things like the ability to have children staying in the same room, the ability to have, say, like, children stay for free or children eat for free in a hotel. All those types of things are really important to target those Malaysia customers. Next one is Indonesia, and alternative payments are a big thing there. Less than 10% of Indonesians have credit cards, so when they travel, they'd really love to know that their alternative form of payment, be it a e-wallet or debit cards, are supported. A lot of the newer payment terminals or online payment gateways can support those types of offers. So just ask, because it's often something you can like get a few incremental customers or incremental demand. For Taiwan, there's a lot of domestic travel and really sort of exploring local tourism campaigns and the hidden gems inside of the country, again, very important there. And for India, back to payments, it's really about mobile payments and specifically about UPI, which is the local bank-supported payment gateway in India, which also provides a lot of co-funded deals. So often customers will go either to their bank app or to an online travel company and seek out bank co-funded deals. So yeah, get ahead of that one and just like make sure that your property is being represented there. And finally, for Philippines, there's a lot around local culture and experience. So travelers are willing to spend a little bit more if they can really sort of see something cultural and like experience something local. So that's the insights that we have on our customers. And now we look at some of these top traveler trends in Asia. So when we've been thinking about what to really sort of present in terms of some like key trends that we're seeing in the industry in the last few months, and we think like in the next year or two, it's these three things if we summarize. First of all, it's this seamless integration through all-in-one mobile apps. Second, it's about AI enhancement to the travel experience. And last, it's about developing more of a cultural connection with deep localization. And we can talk about each of these in turn. Okay, so first of all, there's only one real message on this slide, which is that in Asia, customers are booking via mobile, and specifically actually via mobile app, but either mobile or mobile app is where it's at. So if you're sort of still reviewing on your hotel, like what does my site look like? What does my content look like on desktop? Nobody's seeing it anymore, right? We look at the mobile penetration predicted to be at 88% of bookings by 2026. But actually, we can see that trend's continuing, right? So it gets up into the 90s, and then you can pretty much safely assume that most customers are booking through mobile. So it's really, really important to understand that, because really, if you're not checking your content, if you're not seeing your user experience, your booking flows on mobile, you're really missing where the customers are all at the moment. So now if we go on to the next slide where we look at, okay, so they're all booking through mobile, what are they doing there? So what they're doing is here, they're really looking at an all-in-one platform to simplify the travel experience. And I think this might be connected a little bit to other trends that we've seen in recent years. Things like payments and things like localization, which we'll talk about in a little bit of time. So that's why there's a lot more interest now in this one-stop shop for all the travel experience, because not only do I get the convenience of being able to book different travel products in one page, but I can also often do it in my preferred method of payment with my preferred localized experience, and of course, like in my preferred language. And if there's any issues post booking, I know that I can pick up the phone, I can send a message, and I can call and I can speak to someone again in my local language. So I think that's a theme. And then when you look across all these different touch points here, we've got flights, we've got activities when you get to the location, transport to get around, viewing everything in one page, checking your itinerary, and planning the rest of the trip yourself. One sort of interesting signal that we get out of this is the fact that there was a time in the past where people would book a lot of we call it package holiday. You book for 3 nights in Singapore, and you also get maybe a car pickup, and you also get some activities while you're there. The hotel stays included, and it's one single price. But what we're finding is that our customers are not so interested in that anymore. What they're interested in doing is being able to book the flight when they want, then go to the same platform to book their hotel and have that appear in the same itinerary. And then much closer to the time, typically 1 to 2 days before arriving at their destination, they start thinking about the activities they want to do when they're there. So it is still a package, but it's actually a package that's built up over time at their own convenience and not all in one go, months before planning a trip or booking a trip. So the next theme or the next trend we want to talk about is, of course, AI enhanced experiences. So first of all, we've got a bit of external data around this. That there's a lot of innovation and a lot of let's say hype around generative AI in travel. It's estimated to be a future $30 billion opportunity. A lot of industry professionals are leveraging tools, revenue management, property systems, connectivity systems that are starting to leverage AI in their business. There's 61% that said I would try to use conversational AI to actually try to plan a future trip. And of course, there's people that are interested in getting recommendations surfaced for them through AI. I can certainly say personally myself, I've been using generative AI to do travel search and recommendations in places that I'm going, and it's a very exciting part of the travel business. We at Agoda are leveraging generative AI. Mostly at the moment, it's around 2 areas. It's customer experience and it's internal efficiencies that we see within our own business. But there's a lot of testing and experimentation we're looking at around this, like more customer-facing conversational AI for trip planning. I want to go into the next slide. So what are we doing here? We're, first of all, using AI to improve the satisfaction of our customers on our platform. So what we're doing is we're actually leveraging AI tools to understand where there's conversion benefits, where there's interest and demand and search on our site. And then we're actually using that to try to tailor the experience to the customer in a better way. And what we're seeing is that by leveraging our AI tools, we've improved our overall customer satisfaction by 10%. May not sound like a lot, but frankly, that's a very big improvement that we see in a very short space of time. And we're hoping that in the future, everybody coming to our platform would almost see their own tailored experience leveraging some AI abilities there. Second is, of course, really helping with both customer service and partner service. So when we have a lot of customer inquiries come in, we're actually able to prioritize and answer some of those questions through generative AI, and that also goes for partner service. A lot of the questions we get are things that are quite common questions and common frequently asked issues or questions. And for those, we can actually start to leverage generative AI to answer those in a really, really short period of time, rather than actually having to manually answer every single one of those. And finally, something that we're quite proud of that we've been doing outside of this like efficiency and internal customer service area is actually leveraging AI to do video localization. So we did a video in India, which was a advertising campaign. But as you can see in the frame of that car window, we actually were able to create 200 different ads for different locales around India, and have AI change the words and change the speech that was coming from our actor here, that could help to really localize to all these different parts around India. So it's just some of the uses that we've had for generative AI. But yes, a lot more to come. I think we're only just reaching the tip of the iceberg there.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you so much for your insights. Audience members, we're asking for your participation. We're going to have a surprise pop quiz at the moment. So throughout the webinar, we'll be scattering some questions. Please use the Q&A button to share your answers. So our first question will be, what are the travel opportunities for AI that we have in 2024? A, 5 billion, B, 10 billion, C, 20 billion, or D, 30 billion? So just a hint, the answer was in a couple of slides ago, and it was overlaid on an emoji that was sitting on a treasure chest. So if you remember that, you got the answer right. Okay, I think we got most people. Most of you guys got it right. The answer is indeed D. Generative artificial intelligence represents a $30 billion opportunity for the travel industry. It stands to change the way that we search for travel, how companies provide customer service, and drive operational efficiencies across the industry. Thank you so much. Back to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Sam. So the last trend that we wanted to talk about is really something that's near and dear to my heart as well, which is around the deep local merchandising we do in the market. So I think when we think about localization, maybe 5 years ago, what do we think of? We often think of, well, there's that button in the top right corner of a website where you can change the language filter, and you get a few pages, hopefully, that are in your local language if it's supported, right? But what we see in terms of like localization and what it means to Agoda is that if you want to really truly localize your product and your experience to the customer for a local origin, you really need to actually have the whole funnel and all the experience to be very localized. And that means really getting into the shoes of the people that are in that market or in that country and really understanding how they like to transact online, how they like to pay online, how they like to experience the booking flow, and really heavily localize it for that experience. So first of all, what we want to do is, when we're talking about this, is talk about, say, what we're doing around localizing media. So this is just an example from Thailand, but you get an idea of like what it means to really localize. So first of all, there's a Thailand Tourism Authority and PopMart, which many of you know. My kids definitely know it. They queue up and they get these crazy toys. It seems like every week that they come back with a new one. But actually, they have this like co-branding campaign that we help to work with, where they hosted welcome ceremonies, film promotional videos, and also like these tour packages that were really sort of like touching elements of what all the amazing stuff that Thailand has to offer and this pop mart craze that's happening. The second one is actually the Bangkok Pride Festival. So, Thailand is the first Southeast Asia country to legalize same-sex marriage. And so what we did was we got very excited about this as well. And we wanted to sponsor a honeymoon for that first couple that get married in Thailand. And we also help support this Pride event that happened throughout the streets of Bangkok, with many of our team participating as well. Go to the next slide. So that's more about say localizing in a single country, but then let's think about say localizing to attract market segments across different countries. So the first one that we see a lot is around this idea of visas. So, again, me personally, when I travel, I always see this as like the pain point of travel, apart from the thing of say getting to the destination, which can sometimes be hard work. But when you get there, you're tired, you just want to, get to the hotel, experience the city. The last thing you want to do is fill out visa application forms, maybe wait in a big queue to process that and get into the country. So what we're seeing increasingly around Asia is that there's really a rush to make exemptions to a lot of these like visa requirements in various markets. So an example of the one that we saw here was in China, right? So in China, when they developed this visa-free scheme for the European market, we saw a 663% increase in the bookings that go from Europe to China. And then, same thing for opening up that visa-free from Thailand, a 33% search increase in a very short amount of time to China. But this is just one country. There's a lot of visa relaxing that's happening in places like Thailand, in India, in other markets all around Asia. And this is really helping to sort of open up these markets to new segments. And the second one, which is sort of still ongoing, but actually really an interesting one, is like the effect of two things. First of all, there's a lot of these very famous television shows that have been filmed in these amazing locations around Asia that are getting a lot of attention. So the first one here is White Lotus, which is due to, I think, air pretty soon, which is filmed at the Four Seasons in Koh Samui. So look, if you're thinking of going there, quickly make your booking and go there now, because once it airs, very unlikely there'll be many bookings left at all or much availability left. Because when this happened in other locations for this TV show, we saw a huge amount of search demand there, and already in this Four Seasons Samui website, traffic increased by 425% year on year when that happened. There's a lot of other K-dramas that actually have like these very iconic locations in places like Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand. And again, as soon as those shows air, huge search demand is increased from the South Korean market. So that's one. The second one is about event tourism. So we've got as an example, the Summer Sonic Festival in Japan, F1 in Singapore, and many other big events that are coming. And because these don't happen in every single market, there's a lot of people that are searching out these sort of regional events, and they're actually searching and they're making flight bookings, hotel bookings around these events. So when you see these things coming up, just start to think about marketing in countries where there's going to be a high amount of like attraction to these events that are happening in the cities. We go on to the next slide. And then, of course, when you actually get to the location, then where are you going to stay? So, really to be local, we have to look at the type of local accommodation available in each of these markets as well. And we're just picking out three. I think we could talk about the type of accommodation in every market in Asia, but these really stood out as important local segments where we actually see that there is a heavy attraction of these types of accommodations by domestic travelers within their own country. But what we see as Agoda is actually we're able to start showcasing this type of accommodation to inbound travel or travelers from other countries that also see the same attraction that the domestic travelers are having to this. So if we first of all start with motel, these are relatively cheap hotels that are in often like very sort of happening buzzy places in key cities around South Korea. And they're often like an automatic check-in, either via an app or a vending machine, and they're really sort of fast, easy way to book travel in South Korea. What we're seeing is a huge increase in the demand for those, and we're seeing that on Agoda, it's a significant part of our business now in the market is shifting toward this side motel style accommodation. Second one is budget hotels all across India. I think many of you know about Oyo, but there's other companies like Fab Hotels and Tribo that are operating all these budget hotels all across India, and they're in high demand. And we're able to sort of, again, integrate those onto our platform, showcase them across all the different customer groups all across India. And finally, not so budget is hot spring or ryokan experience in Japan. This is a very special type of accommodation that has typically a hot spring or a spa on the premises. And when you book, you're typically booking for your meals as well as a spa in these like very traditional Japanese style accommodation. Again, very sought after and very attractive for international tourists that want to really experience Japan. So at Agoda, we've got teams in each of these countries, and they're actually working with the motels, the budget hotels, and the hot springs to make sure that this very interesting and exciting accommodation is available on our platform. And then, of course, the localization doesn't just stop at the supplier. We actually need to make sure that the user experience also matches that local flavor. So, of course, there's translation, but there's also very specific localization that happens on the platform. For example, looking at the Japanese version on the left-hand side, there is, of course, the ryokan and the local accommodation, but there's also a lot around age policy, child booking that's very specific in Japan that we need to localize for that maybe isn't so relevant for other markets. Secondly, it's like really sort of making sure that we are telling the local story and what's important for the customers in that market. And of course, we've mentioned it a few times, but being able to pay in the payment method that you're most comfortable with is really, really important, especially with the big increase in e-wallets and alternative forms of payment that are expanding all across Asia. And then finally, on the marketing side, so how we tell our story, right? So first of all, when we do branding in any country in our key destinations like Indonesia and Japan and India, we're not doing a global campaign that we just push out to every market. We're actually seeking out local celebrities with a local type of advertising that will appeal to the customers in that market. So we've got let's say a famous influencer in Indonesia, we've got a comedy duo in Japan, and a famous Bollywood star in India. And they're actually our representative to really like go along and talk about why booking on Agoda in these markets is such a great experience, and you can travel anywhere and always get a great selection. The next thing is also then going even more localized to social influencers to run local campaigns. So on the left, you can see that there was a professionally edited campaign, which was all about the idea of a chicken bank in Indonesia. So in Indonesia, there's no piggy bank, it's a chicken bank. And so what we did was we started off with a campaign, and then we actually really magnified that campaign through influencers and social media around TikTok creators and also in Instagram. All right, Sam, do you want to take back the quiz?
I do. It's time for the quiz again. Hopefully, we get more answers. And just a reminder that we'd love your quiz answers as well as whatever questions you have for our presenter. With that being said, what are the countries that Agoda has run localized marketing campaigns for? A, Indonesia, B, China, C, Singapore, or D, Malaysia? And another hint, it involves a chicken bank that we were just talking about and a lot of TikTok. So if you were listening to that, you got the answer already. Wow, Andrew, clearly a lot of people were very riveted by your chicken bank explanation because almost every answer guessed right. It is indeed A. Agoda did indeed run localized marketing campaigns in Indonesia, India, and Japan. So excellent job. Moving on. Thank you so much. But please remember, ask whatever questions you have for us, and we'll try our best to answer at the end. Okay. But before moving on, what are the countries that just offer visa-free entries from European countries? Is it A, USA, B, China, C, Argentina, or D, South Africa? Okay. And again, we have a very engaged audience because almost everyone has correctly answered B. That is indeed correct. China in 2024 launched launched a rapidly expanding visa-free scheme to boost tourism. The data from online and overall bookings from Europe to China compared to 2022 and 2024 is much higher. Okay. And finally, what are the top travel trends we should prioritize to stay ahead in the market? Is it A, technology, B, generative AI, C, localization, or D, all of the above? I'm seeing a lot of familiar names here who have gotten all these answers right throughout the quiz. So thank you so much for staying engaged throughout our presentation. We really appreciate it. And yes, the answer is indeed D. Sorry, that was my fault. D. Everyone should stay involved and keep your eye on technology, generative AI, and localization. These will indeed be the things that will help you stay ahead and stay competitive in the market. And back to you.
Okay, thanks, Sam. So look, we just want to wrap it up now and remember to leave you with these three key trends, right? So the seamless integration, all-in-one mobile apps, AI-enhanced experiences, and the deep local merchandising. So on just the final thing, okay, so what can you really sort of take away from each of these three key trends? If you want to go on to the next slide, it's really three things. So first of all, for the all-in-one app, like embrace that digital integration, invest in mobile apps for this like seamless booking experience, and also like really think about that sort of cross-promotional opportunity with other travel services. You know, if you're a hotelier, really think about how can I like partner with airline, partner with train service, bus service to really make sure that I can like connect my part of the trip. Same with activities providers. You know, how could I connect them with hoteliers and really sort of market my service inside the hotel because people are seeking out that convenience. Secondly, about AI, you know, start using AI for like personalizing your travel experience. So one of the ways I think is the best way to get started is try it out yourself, right? There's so many amazing tools out there from like Perplexity, obviously ChatGPT, Claude, many others that you can just test and try and see what you can do inside of that. There's tons and tons of research and detail available on the web there. But also, you know, really like trying to develop connections with your customers through AI. So that's usually leveraging platforms and tools that are already available, maybe even some of the tech that you're already using inside of your hotel or your activity or even airline. You can leverage that already. And last one about localization, really like know who your customer is. So if you say, look, I really want to tap into the, let's say the UK market, or I really want to tap into the Japanese customer or the Indonesia customer. So learn about them, right? Like understand what are some of the key trends in those markets, and then how you could market better to them than any of your competitors. And then, yeah, create the experiences that align with that cultural nuance that you see. So with that, that's wrapping up the presenting part, and now we get onto the fun Q&A part. So, Sam, I'm sure you've been monitoring some of the questions. Do you want to start sharing some of those?
Yes, sure can. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you so much for your very thorough explanation of how we can stay ahead with today's market trends. The first question comes from a very informed reader and watcher. They were wondering, does Agoda offer any solutions to supply the main three trends? How can we support partners in incorporating these three things that you suggested?
Sure. So I think you're saying how can we support on like the all-in-one app, the generative AI and localization, right? So yeah, I think the great thing is that within our business we have resources in all of these areas. So I would say the first one is the maybe the easiest one, because with that there's the most simple and straightforward way to get started is just to like, you know, look at like doing things like package rate, right? Package rate is something that is not sold as a standalone product on our website. It's only only something that gets packaged with other travel services, be that activities or airline or airport transfer or other things like that. That's the most simple way, but I would say like going one layer deeper is really sort of understand, and this is like by reaching out to our account management team, like what are some of the ways that you can connect the trip together. So for example, are there different like cross partnerships you can do with activities and with airlines? A good real example is that there was a partnership that we were working on in Singapore with some of the key attractions there, like Gardens by the Bay, the Singapore Zoo. And we're able to get this discounted ticket offer. And then we could put that in the hands of a lot of hotels so they could actually sell that as part of a package on their own listing and actually like get a lot of conversion from like people that wanted to book hotels, but also experience that amazing Gardens by the Bay experience while they were there. So we usually have a lot of those partnerships already because we work with the activities providers, because we work with the airlines. So yeah, just ask us, right? On the generative AI stuff, look, it's a little bit different because we're using a lot of generative AI on our own platform, but eventually it's like geared towards like helping our customers experience our platform better. In terms of like really leveraging that yourselves, I think again you can actually join a few of these webinars because we are going to do one. Stay tuned on generative AI, so so that you can learn a lot more about how you can leverage it. But I would say the best way to do it is just like try things out yourself and get started. So, for example, you could like send your website link to one of these chat services like ChatGPT or even Claude, and say, tell me how I could convert better with this website. You'd be amazed at like what's going to come back as suggestions and ideas. Tell me what's wrong with my content. How could I make better photos that are more resonating to my customer base if I was like, say, really trying to attract Korean customers, for example? And there's a lot you can do just by simply asking. And, like, yeah, the normal thing, checking YouTube and, really learning that way. But I would also say that within Agoda, we have like a lot of really, really smart people that are at the cutting edge of this space. Again, reach out to your account manager and say, can you send me any detail, any data, any resource of like pre-recordings that we've done of how you can get started and how you can leverage this? And the last one about localization, I think this is about connecting the dots. So if let's say you're a hotel that's based here in Thailand, but you say, I really want to attract Indonesia customers. Well, you know what? We have a team in Indonesia that know very, very well the Indonesia customer base, and they can like share messages across markets. So again, all you need to do is say, I want to target this type of customer base. Yes, of course, I can do like promotions and I can do like special discounts for that origin. But on top of that, I can also like differentiate my product by really attracting those types of customers and what's important for them. So that's a great question, and that's what I would suggest in terms of ways you could leverage our experience.
Lovely. So I think you touched on this next question previously in your answer, but perhaps we can dive into a bit more detail. So for small to medium-sized hotels, how would you recommend that they incorporate AI into their day-to-day operations?
Yeah, I like just to go a bit deeper, I would also first say there's a bunch of like free or relatively cheap tools out there that you can use to get started. Okay, and also I think you can also seek out your tech partners, right? I think a lot of hotels, obviously they're typically using a cloud-based property management system, often channel managers, revenue management systems, content management systems. And I think all of these partners of ours, they're also investing into generative AI. And often like they have like some new features or even beta products that you can start testing out. So you can actually be leveraging the experience of not just Agoda, but the entire tech ecosystem to really try to leverage that. And if you're hunting around for tools that already support generative AI, again, ask us because we can probably point you in the right direction. So that's one thing. I think the second thing though is really like, yeah, just leaning into this within the hotel. So there's so many different ways you can start leveraging this. and have a bit of fun with it. I think the thing that we always try to do inside of Agoda whenever we're figuring out, is this the right tool? Is this a good user experience? Is this something that we want to invest more into? We always run it as what we would call an experiment. Okay, the best experiment is when you can actually do it as what we call an A/B test. You're actually giving a certain experience to an A group of user and a certain experience to a B group, and you see which one is like making more bookings, generating more money, or having a better overall experience. That's one way. But you can also do what we would call then just a pre-post analysis. So you say, okay, I'm getting, let's say, 15% of my bookings are coming through my direct website or through OTA platform, and I want to increase that. So then what do? You implement some AI change. Maybe it could be like a chat prompt. It could be an assistant that's running on top of your website. And then you check what happened over the next 2-3 weeks. Did it increase? Did it improve? So I think again, there's a lot of things you can do to test it out, and then learn as you're doing. Because I think we're all new to this, and everybody's still trying to find all the great use cases of this exciting new product.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And very similar question regarding localization. Do you have any thoughts or action plans or suggestions for hotels who are in cities that are not major tourist destinations? Any tips on how they can boost their bookings there?
Yeah, so I think it really, again, it depends on like how well you know the customer base you're looking at. So there's two ways. First of all, if you're in like, let's say, not a sort of very well-known tourist destination, I think what you're looking for is typically those customers that are like maybe a bit more adventurous, right? And we see this a lot. And I'm originally from Australia, and what I've heard a lot is now Australia is a very hot destination for customers around Southeast Asia. Why? They've already been to Europe. They've already been to the US. They've traveled around Asia. Now they're like, what's the next thing that I can do? Okay, so even if you think about, say, a less well-known tourist destination within Asia, there's a lot of people that have exhausted all these like capital cities and all these exciting beach destinations like Phuket and Samui and Penang and places like that. They're looking for something else, right? Find out who those customers are and where there's this like potential demand. Because what you might find is that when you can ask, let's say, of course, like Agoda, we can actually share some like origin search demand data to you. But of course, there's also things like local tourism boards, national tourism boards that can tell you what type of customer base is coming in. And once you know that, understand what they're looking for when they come to your destination. Okay, so how can you find that out? Well, of course, you can also like look at social media, look at influencers, look at people that have already come there and what they're really sort of pinpointing as the things that they came there for. Because I think every destination has its own unique, exciting thing. It's got to figure out what is resonating with people, number one. And number two is all the stuff that I mentioned. So if you find that it's broadly like very attractive to the Chinese consumer, then like, are you supporting Alipay, WeChat Pay? Are you being represented by all the big partners in those markets? Are you sort of, like, do you have any sort of package deals with airlines that are in those markets? So really like then think of how can you really get into the mind or the shoes of that customer, and why would they pick you versus another property or another destination?
Excellent. Thank you. So the final question is also related to localization and marketing. So the final question is, you just mentioned that you collaborate with influencers. Is this something that hotel owners can use as well? Or is there a way that Agoda can help them to promote via influencer marketing?
So I would say yes and yes. So I think starting with the second one, because maybe that's more straightforward. So we have like a network of influencers in every market. If you want to say help to reach out to them, target your property, we can certainly help connect the dots there. So that's the easy part of the answer. I think the second, the first part, which is about how you could actually leverage this. I would say that it's something you have to be cautious of, but do it the right way. So what do I mean there? What I mean is that you've really got to make sure that like if you're working with an influencer, like make sure that they're actually the right fit for your market and your property. So let's say, for example, you're working very close with an influencer that's in New Zealand. And then you find out that actually there's very, very little demand from New Zealand customers to go to your property in, let's say, Malaysia, then that's probably not a good fit, right? So you've really got to like, first of all, like, go to their page, not just look at like their follower count and like say, those like very, very high level metrics, but go one step deeper, watch their videos, see what they do, and also like see how much interaction they have with their audience, because you really got to make sure that it's a fit on both sides. It's a relationship, and you got to make sure that there's a win-win for both parties. So that's one thing about actually reaching out. But I'd say the second thing is a lot of this is actually happening for free, let's say. Okay, so there's a lot of like really popular destinations and even hotels where people are just going there and they're like posting like amazing pictures from their trip, right? That's not necessarily someone that's doing it professionally. That's just like people that are really excited about the trip, and that becomes very authentic, right? This is not a paid placement, but this is like an authentic experience someone's having at your property. So make sure you're monitoring that really carefully, and make sure that you can amplify their message by like posting something back, or promoting it or liking it on your own platform. I think again, like if you can do something more authentic, it's really, really great. So rather than the typical thanks, I'm glad you liked our hotel, do something more like, hey, thanks, it's that pool's really amazing, and did you know that it's like salt water, and like we had to like ship the parts in from another country, like something that's like going to get more attention and a bit more authentic. It really then feels like you're really connected with those people, and maybe others will feel like it's very attractive to come to that same property. And I don't know, Sam, do you have any like lightning round questions to finish us off?
To finish us
Anything
off,
quick and
lightning
easy?
round. We're going to give the audience 5 seconds to ask any questions you have. Ready? Five, four, three, going once, going twice. All right, none so far. So
Great.
let's wrap it
Okay.
up
And look,
today.
I see tons of questions in the Q&A. Yeah, I'll try to type out some answers after the session. I hope you still get them. I don't know, but at least that'll be maybe a way to like answer a few more of them. So again, really, really appreciate everybody attending. Glad to be able to share what we're doing here at Agoda and like the broader travel ecosystem in Asia. And look forward to speaking to you again soon. Don't forget to sign up for our other webinars that are coming up. I'm sure Sam will send some details out to you about that.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you for walking us through how important AI, localization, and knowing your customer is. And everyone, thank you. And please join our next webinars. And when you get the chance, please let us know what you thought of this one in the survey that we'll send out to you guys. Thank you so much and have a lovely rest of your day.
Bye.